Hello everyone, and welcome to the long overdue answer video. When I sent a request out in my last checkpoint video for questions, I had a pretty clear idea of what I was going to do for the answers video. However, when I went to check the comments on Friday night, yeah. So I was originally planning on making this nice, elaborately edited video where I showed screenshots of the questions and had them all well organized and nice and whatever, but that quickly went to shit. So basically, I went through the comments, wrote down the most interesting, common, and relevant ones I could find, and threw a few in there for extra comedy value. These are in no particular order, by the way, so the topic is going to be all over the place. Again, sorry if I couldn't get to your question, but with this many, I had to pick and choose. Well, first of all, I'm not coming back to World of Tanks. I feel the need to address this because still to this day I get asked to come back to World of Tanks and play it because somehow overnight all of the game's issues have disappeared while I was gone. As if. I'm not going to try moving towards War Thunder or World of Warships content either, so please stop asking me to do that. Also, I don't think I'm going back to EU4 anytime soon. Unfortunately, the EU4 content just wasn't that popular. As for what games I'm going to play on stream in the future, I have a huge collection of CD games from my childhood. I've got all kinds of stuff from like the Tonka franchise, Hot Wheels, that sort of thing. But generally, I think I'm going to be sticking mostly to car games just because that seems to be the direction my YouTube's moving in, and that seems to be the sort of audience I've picked up. That being said, I don't want to completely commit to it. I still would like to do Factorio and City Skyline streams every once in a while, and you know, just throw in the odd game just for variety. I first opened up my YouTube at the tail end of 2007. That alone is a bit crazy to think that I've been on YouTube for something like 11 years now. But to get back to the question, I opened it back then just to post Halo modding videos. If you go all the way back to my first videos, it was just poorly made videos I threw together with Fraps and Windows Movie Maker, various Halo mods and things I did in various Halo mods. When I stopped playing Halo, I sort of moved on to just using my YouTube as a general dump for whatever I wanted to make a video about. Things really started to take off when I made the first Unicum guide, which was a series of guides I did for the game World of Tanks. And while most guides you find for that game are pretty dry, they're like 15 minutes long, the guy just lists off, you know, these are the things the tank does, this is a replay. Mine was much shorter and had a lot more, you know, raunchy humor and was much more to the point, so it was a big hit. And that happened because a guy named Jingles, who was the most popular World of Tanks personality at the time, put that video on his Facebook, and so all of his, you know, Facebook followers saw it. And I have since quit World of Tanks and, you know, shifted my content over to car-related stuff, but that was the initial bump my channel got from being a few hundred subscribers to eventually 100,000 where it is now. My Twitch started a little bit after that. Again, I wasn't really planning on making a big thing out of it. It was just, hey, I'm gonna try this for fun, and it was a big hit, so I'm like, okay, I might as well make this a regular thing, and I've been doing that since then. Probably the two most exotic cars I would call my dream cars would be the NSU Row 80 and the Panhard 24, just because they're both, I don't know, they're both really quirky, kind of interesting cars that look good, but don't stand out like a crazy, hyper exotic car would, yet they still have interesting characteristics about them. As for something more attainable, I would like to own an old Cressida again. I used to own an 82 Cressida, which I unfortunately crashed. If I could get one from that era again in good shape, I would absolutely love to have that. Recently, I've sort of fallen victim to just click whatever's on the recommendations a little bit. However, there are a few channels that I do regularly come back to. Probably the most obvious one would be Regular Car Reviews. I'm sure you're all familiar with him. Forgotten Weapons, which I watch very often. Technology Connections, The 8-Bit Guy, Bare Metal Hot Wheels, Wendover Productions, and Mustard, among others. Generally, I've been watching more educational and informative videos recently, but I've also been watching gaming videos from channels like ArchD and Bacon. In my childhood, I certainly played a lot of the LEGO franchise games, things like LEGO Island, LEGO Rock Raiders, LEGO Racer. However, probably the most played game, at least on PC, would be Robot Arena 2, which you've seen me play on stream and, well, you've seen a couple videos of already. I wish I could see how many hours of my life have been spent playing Robot Arena 2. When I first got my own PC, there was Halo PC that I played a lot of. After I met Bacacchios, who you may have seen in a couple streams, he got me into the Source games, specifically Gary's mod, and later Counter-Strike Source, both of which I did some mapping for. As for my favorite game of all time, probably Half-Life 2. I haven't played a whole lot of it, but every time I go back to playing that game, I end up just playing the whole thing, because I enjoy it that much. Right now, definitely Twitch, although that money kind of ebbs and flows a little bit. I certainly do make a lot more from Twitch than I do from YouTube. I would like to start making more from YouTube just so that my income is kind of dispersed a little more, and that way if, say, my Twitch goes to shit, that I'm not completely on my ass as far as income goes. I got a couple questions about diesel stuff, however they both seemed to be a little more skewed towards cars. Here's the thing, in America, diesel cars aren't very common. So there really aren't a lot of people who are into diesel cars here just because there aren't a lot of diesel cars here. As far as diesel in America goes, it's usually trucks, and I'm not really huge into trucks, so as a result of that, I'm not really into diesel. I'm certainly open to doing collabs with other YouTubers, however, I haven't really mingled with a lot of other YouTubers. If possible, a collab with RCR would be cool, but I'm pretty sure he has no idea who I am. But if something about that should change, yeah, I'd certainly be open to it. I'm not sure if you would classify it as a racing game per se, but in my opinion, Smugglers run Warzones for the GameCube. This is another one of my all-time favorites, and it kind of flew under the radar, and I had a lot of fun with it as a kid, and I've had a lot of fun with it when I replayed it on stream, and I might do that again in the near future. First of all, people have somehow gotten this perception that I hate everything as far as cars go, because I'm always ripping on certain cars for certain reasons. I don't hate most cars. As a matter of fact, even the ones I tend to roast and rip on a bit, I actually rather like the Civic. The Civic is not a bad car, it just has a very bizarre culture around it, and a lot of the people of that culture tend to put that car on a pedestal that it doesn't really belong on. Doesn't mean it's not a good car, it just means it's not the second coming of Christ in car form. That being said, I tend to go towards more comfortable cars. While it's nice and exciting to have a fast car, 90% of the driving you're going to be doing is just back and forth doing really mundane shit, and for that I would rather have a nice, comfortable, easygoing car. Also, some people have gotten the idea that I just hate all foreign cars. Again, that's not true, and that just goes back to usually me just busting balls about, you know, certain aspects of cars and their cultures that surround them. Southeastern Pennsylvania. I don't recommend living here. It is fucking boring. So, a lot of people have noticed that I've been playing an emulated copy of Need for Speed Underground as opposed to a PC version. There's a couple reasons for that. First of all, I owned the GameCube version as a kid, and so just for nostalgia purpose and because that's what I'm used to, I play the emulated GameCube version over Dolphin Emulator. Furthermore, the PC version of Need for Speed Underground doesn't really like to play ball with modern systems, especially Windows 10, which is what I'm using. I recently tried to install it and run it, and even after trying a variety of fixes I found on the net, nothing really seemed to get it to launch, so I just went back to emulating it again because that's what works. This is something I've admittedly been kind of lazy about. Previously, I was archiving my streams to a playlist on my YouTube channel, and that's because I used to simultaneously stream to YouTube and Twitch at the same time, and when I did that, the YouTube version of that got recorded, and I could very easily just put that in a playlist and archive it like that. However, after corresponding with my Twitch partner manager, I've been informed that I'm not supposed to do that as per the partnership agreement. So in order to upload the streams to YouTube, I have to go through to each one and have the VOD, which is the recording of the stream, transferred from Twitch to YouTube. And it's just kind of a pain, and I haven't been doing it. And the problem is I've got such a backlog of streams at this point that if I were to catch up, it would take a while, because they all take a few hours to transfer. So I plan on doing it, but it's kind of low on my priority list because I have, videos to do and streams to do, but I do want to get around to it eventually. I had a couple people ask me if I would do speedruns. I don't think I will. Generally speaking, I'm just not good enough. I don't really play those games enough to justify really making an effort to speedrun them. Furthermore, I have a very bad tendency of tilting when things don't go my way, and when that happens, it kind of just snowballs on itself and I keep playing worse and worse and worse. I'm almost certain that would happen, and I'd pretty much screw up every speedrun I did. I tend to listen to a mix of genres and artists, but generally I listen to more electronic stuff, and even that kind of changes from month to month as to what type of electronic music I'm listening to. I don't really think there's one unifying thing of what I listen to. I just listen to whatever sounds good to me. My online handle was originally supposed to be Slip, and that would be capital S, capital L, exclamation point P. The reason for that was because I came up with it when I was like 12, and I thought it was really cool and edgy because I was 12. However, when I went to sign up for my RuneScape account and later my Yahoo and my YouTube, I found that the name Slip was taken. So rather than just tacking a bunch of numbers onto the end of my name, which I didn't want to do, I sort of invented this way to extend the name, Sliphantom. And that is the correct way to pronounce it, by the way, Sliphantom, as two separate words. I didn't want to put two P's in there because at the time I thought it looked awkward. I don't really plan on doing a face reveal or anything like that. I did a couple of World of Tanks streams way back when with a webcam, but I didn't really feel that the face cam added anything to it. In addition, I don't really consider myself a terribly photogenic person. Even if I was, I don't really like the idea of using my face to sell my YouTube or my Twitch. I would much rather my content speak for itself rather than my appearance do that. There aren't a lot of cars that I like that other people just hate. Usually when a lot of people hate a car, it's for good reason. There are a few I like that aren't really that popular. I guess stuff like the Riata, which doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's this two-door roadster that isn't at all sporty, and it's big, and it's heavy, and it's floaty. But I'd love to own one just as a cruising car, even if it's not fast or sporty. For a car that I dislike, that everyone else seems to like, I would actually say the Veyron, just because it's too, like, over-engineered and clinical, and it's not all about who has the highest number, who has the, highest top speed or whatever that makes a good exotic car. It just looks like something that's been just engineered to be the fastest car in the world, as opposed to something that's been made or designed to be exciting. If you can even call it a gaming experience, some chucklefuck bought me Nekopara on Steam and asked me to stream it. Also, there were the Panzer Medals stream. If you're not familiar, that is a stream I did ages ago of a very poorly made anime dating game. However, all of the girls are humanizations of battle tanks. It was terrible. For those of you who don't know, I collect keyboards, typically much older mechanical keyboards. It's kind of like cars. I'm just fascinated by the engineering that goes into them, the variety you can get. It's also interesting once you start typing on a good mechanical keyboard. If you've been typing on a piece of shit, plastic Dell keyboard all your life, you probably don't get what the deal is. You don't realize what you've been missing out on until you actually experience it. And after you have, you're definitely not going to want to go back. I don't hate them. I completely understand why people like them, but it's just not my thing. I was actually working on getting a first pack of stream cars out, but I got sidetracked. That should be out, I want to say soon, but unfortunately it's kind of low on my priority list, and I want to work on the 100K stuff and my regular videos and my streams before doing that. However, I am going to get those out. I am going to start releasing downloadable mod packs of the stream cars I've done. My favorite era for cars would definitely have to be the 80s. I don't know why, I've always just liked the boxy and angular cars that came out of that era. You had this mix of sort of classic styling from the old American cars and things like that, alongside of these space-age, almost looking Hondas and Toyotas and things with flip-up headlights and things like that. That's a bit of a tricky question, just because my YouTube has been used for such a variety of things in the past. Also, while I do like how, my more recent videos with the Honda fucking Civic and Dodge fucking Neon are very popular and all, I'm not necessarily as proud of them because I didn't put as much editing effort into them. As far as the videos I'm most proud of, I would probably have to say the Unicum guides, all the way back from when I was still doing World of Tanks content, just because those were scripted and made from the ground up to be YouTube videos. I didn't just clip up Twitch content that I had made before. As for videos that I think are the worst and I'm not as proud of, I would have to say the trackball video. I'm not a big fan of. I don't really know why, I just feel like a lot of the humor in that video didn't really work out, and some of it felt kind of awkward and cringy when I went back to look at it. I have yet to get my silver play button, and I haven't been contacted about that either, so I don't know if I'm even getting one. I'm kind of surprised nobody's figured this out, at least to my knowledge. The game is Streets of SimCity, by the way. Not that I recommend you try it, it's not a very good game. I like both for different reasons. I like Twitch just because I can kind of show up and entertain without having to script and edit and all that. However, I enjoy YouTube just because I'm more proud of the videos that I do script and edit and put all that effort to put together. Although the reward for doing this seems a lot less since, as I stated before, my YouTube tends to pull in less money than my Twitch. The dog I use for my stream overlay is actually Sif from the original Dark Souls. I had found a nice animated GIF of like an 8-bit version of him, and I kind of just put him there to fill the space where my donations go when there isn't a donation there. So for those of you who don't know, I did a couple streams in the past where I was disassembling and working on making custom keyboards. The reason I haven't done another is because the setup I had was kind of subpar in my opinion, so once I get the parts or whatever for a better setup, then yeah, I will certainly be doing more of them. There's a couple reasons. First of all, I'm just not interested in most newer games. In addition, I think people like to watch the older games more often. You will see, streams and things like that blow up for new games for about a week or so, and then everyone forgets about it. Whereas these older games, everyone still remembers and everyone still seems to be interested in watching. I never really considered selling merch to be worth the trouble because I just didn't think I was that popular, and while there are a few people that would like it, I don't know if it would be worth the trouble setting up a t-shirt shop or something to that effect.